Hi there, this is Åsa with a new process video. Today I'm using newsprint paper, and I will start by ripping apart one of those papers that you get for free in the mail, and it basically consists of ads. We don't have a paper newspaper on subscription in my home, so I had to take this, which I had. And I will be looking for pieces with only text. Sadly, lots of the pieces I found had heavy ads on the backside, and that had lots of color, but I managed to find at least a small pile of pieces that I thought would do for my project. When I had torn apart the pieces, I dipped them in paint. I tried a couple of different paints, and I think I did best with the neo colors. Those are always my favorites, I think, and I also tried with some gelatos and just some peerless watercolors as well, but I think I did best with the neo colors. When I had done most of these colorings, I realized that it worked best if the paper was already wet. I wanted the paint to kind of seep into the fibers of the paper and easily and by itself, but I ended up almost dipping and smearing the paint onto the paper pieces. But if the paper was a bit wet from the beginning, it worked best, and it gave the effect that I was looking for. But when I found that out, I had already done most of the papers that I wanted, so it will be a lesson learned for another time. First I worked directly onto my craft mat, but I realized that the stains were harder and harder to get off, so I just took a piece of plastic and continued on that instead. I have started collecting those plastic sheets and putting them in a bag, so that I have a large selection nearby when I want to do paint. A couple of days later, I continued this page. So the lighting is a bit different. It's in the morning, apparently, because I have sunshine through the window next to my scrap table. The lighting will become better in a while. I'm using clear gesso, as almost like the glue you use when you're doing decoupage, and with my paintbrush I paint the gesso onto a pre-gessoed paper, and I place the newspaper pieces onto the gesso, and then I put another coat on top. So I'm basically making decoupage onto my white cardstock. I'm going randomly. I keep trying to place the newspapers so that the text isn't in the correct direction. I want it to be mixed up, and I don't want to focus on any of the words. So if I see a word that stands out a lot, I try to cover it with a piece of paper. I want the pattern of the newspaper. I don't want the words. This was a strangely satisfying process to make, and I took my time and placed the pieces so that I got the colors all over the place, and so that I also covered up the gaps between the pieces. At the bottom of the page I also add a couple. They look a bit more like they have fallen off the larger piece. And after a long while this eventually dried, and I went over with a sponge and some white gesso to tone down the contrast a bit, and also connecting the newspaper piece to the background. And then it was time for some more drying, and I choose the photos for this layout, and they are two of my son. And we have been having a lot of colds and the flu and everything this winter, and this is these are photos taken during one of those periods of illness when I was home with my son, and he had a fever and was underneath his blankets in the sofa, and the cat came and wanted to keep him company, so I just had to take a photo, and it's a really sweet one. The photos goes a bit towards the pink due to the background there, and I have no problem at all with that. I'm using white pattern paper from the On Trend collection from My Mind's Eye, and it's got small crosses, and I think they resemble the hospital sign, the Red Cross sign. So and I didn't notice before I had glued it all down, and I thought that was really fun. Since it's a layout with him being ill, and I will also cut out some of those crosses and place them as embellishments onto the page. The crosses are gold foil and really pretty. I'm in love with gold foil at the moment. I fall for trends like that really easy. The two photos I placed on green cardstock and put them together side by side, so it's a green edge all around them. I cut off a couple of millimeters on each side of the page to be able to put it on another piece of cardstock to frame it. This whole background with the newspaper pieces, it has been one I've had in waiting in line to be fulfilled ever since I started using gesso. I have been intrigued to put things in it and glue it on onto a page. And I thought with the clear gesso that would be even more obvious when you chose a pattern like newsprint to work with. It was fun, and I hope that I will be able to do it again. It was hard though to find the right pieces, those that was easy to work with. I will try and see if I can use some other kind of paper, maybe tissue paper or something with a more controlled pattern. And I will most definitely try and come up with even more things to place in gesso, because it's really fun and adds possibilities that you don't have otherwise. The whole layout will be framed by this blue cardstock, and I thought that it balanced the pink in the photos really well, and it also picked up a bit of the purple that I had on the newspaper print. I think it's a bit hard to place a frame like this, and I often get problems with the alignment being crooked, So I came up with this idea to adhere just one side at a time, so that the whole layout won't get stuck in the adhesive, and I risk ripping it all apart. And I think that might be my method from now on. As you can see, I'm still using this patterned tape, and I still have a lot left, so I'm just using it up on the back side of my layouts. I don't like to throw away things that I have bought just because they are not pretty. They can work anyway, and tape, of course, works as tape, even how ugly it might be. Speaking about old things, and these are rub-ons that I bought in the earliest days of my scrapbooking, and that would be in 05, 06, something like that. They come in a very handy package. You see that to the left there in the screen, and you can cut off letter by letter, and no part of the rub-ons will get stuck by mistake. Very, very good, I must say. And I still have lots of those left. The font is one that I wish it was more simple to use. It of course it is simple, but it looks very special. I wish it was more looked like just any print. This is a bit too special, and it's got some mixed sizes, like the G there. It's got another size, but I'm determined to use it up, but it will be a slow process because the font is very special. To me it looks like the Blossom font from Quick Cuts that was very popular for a while, and it's one that I've bought, so I have it in my stash. I'm sprinkling some Heidi Swap color shine onto the page, and then it's done. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you have enjoyed this process video. Come back soon. Have a nice time. This is Åsa. Bye.